What's up, guys? It's Jeff, and we're coming back to Killboxes. Our last coverage of Killboxes went in the team review format. So, what we were doing there was we were giving the players a chance to interact, establish a basic understanding of the concept, and really start to feel like they had some understanding of what was going on in the game. And this time, we're going to be doing a lesson format. So, they're going to be getting a little bit more into the nuance and the depth of it, and it's going to be more targeted towards coaches and IGLs, team captains, people who are actually calling how to run a kill box. This can be good for the whole team as well to see, but it's definitely going to be a more in-depth look, but also a more brief look. We're here on Numbani because in Numbani, it's pretty well understood, I think, that we want to fight the enemy team in certain areas. And we're looking at this from the defender's point of view, again, because kill boxes are really for defenders. It's very rare that the attacking team gains access to a kill box. They need to have a lot of point progression already on something like a cart map in order to do that, and it can be very powerful. But we might do a part 3 to understand how attacking teams play kill boxes. But for right now, the basic understanding of kill boxes is that it's something that defending teams get by default by having the better positioning by default. In the attacking teams, they have to move through these spaces of vulnerability in order to gain access to the defending team's backline. And meanwhile, the defending team, well, they get to engage on the attacking players in those spaces. So let's look at the Numbani kill boxes. We're going to go ahead and put up a couple of first point kill boxes here so that we can understand exactly where we want to be fighting. And we're going to go ahead and label them number 1. And over here, we're going to label it number 2, right? Now, the reason that these are where they are is because of the rotations of the map. Number 1 and number 2 depend on where the enemy team goes. We've also gone ahead and fit in a default composition for us. We've got Baptiste and Anna. We've got Emery. We've got Winston and Gidgey here. And our Bap, Anna, and Emery are what I will refer to as our backline core. And our Winston and Genji are what we'll refer to as our frontline core. Now, as a defending team, what we want is for the attacking team to be fighting our frontline core, but we want to bring the resources and damage of our backline core into a team fight in order to help secure kills, right? And the kill box is where it's the easiest to do that with the lowest risk. Now, there are steps that we have to take as a defending team to, for instance, kill the attacking team in kill box 1. Because if we don't do anything, we just sit here in our standard setup, guarding the doorway and guarding the high ground, then what happens is that the attacking team walks up and then they jump our back line and they get all that space. And if we counter initiate, we're just behind. So there is something that's really important for us to do first. And what that is we actually need to have a poke scouting phase, right? And so what we'll do is we'll come and we'll play up here and we'll poke and we'll scout the attacking team to determine where they're going. That way, for instance, if they're making this coastline rotation, we can swap over our positioning and get ready to cut them off. I'll show you what that looks like here in a little bit. But another aspect of that, besides just scouting the enemy team, right? There are 2 more important things that we want to do. The second of which is we want to bait cooldowns. Cooldowns like Dynamite, Emery Nade, Freya Dash, anything that we can force out of the enemy team so that they don't have it when the fight that we want to take occurs. Now, by peeking forward, what we're going to do is we're going to exchange some left click damage or maybe some right click damage, depending on your character here, for those cooldowns. They're going to give those cooldowns back to us, and we kite out very early so that we can sustain that with nothing more than our healing. We want to build some support ult, and we want to save our cooldowns because that's not where we want to fight the enemy team. We don't want to fight them out here where they're going to have this little poke exchange with us. We want to fight them in the kill box. Now, this is where the third thing comes into play. And that's that we want to bait them towards the kill box. So by doing this, the enemy team's frontline core is going to engage onto wherever we are, right? And we can also establish a little kill box up here. That's something that's real. The enemy team's frontline core is going to engage onto us, and they're probably going to engage onto the Emery because he's the weakest looking character, and he backs out and we get the heals onto him. And now the frontline core is sitting on these green circles, and the enemy team is like, well, where do we go, right? Let's assume that they go main. The backline core of the enemy team is going to push up so that they can try and get the frontline core onto our backline. You know, it's a two-step process for them. However, we want to play in a way where we don't get jumped by their frontline, but we do manage to get our damage onto the backline and our backline core cooldowns onto the priority targets. Priority targets being DPS supports, right? Particularly low mobility characters. And by baiting them in this direction, we get to control where the fight happens. The enemy team moves up. And the key here is that the moment somebody touches our kill box, who is a priority target, we punish them. Now, if a Winston wanders into this kill box, we shoot him and he loses HP and he leaves. But if a Freya or an Emery jumps into this kill box trying to find an angle or some damage, then that's where we commit our full team resources, the dash, the jump, the bubble, the nade, the Emery nade. That's where we look for the kill. And then because we're able to put so many different characters' utility and damage into that space, we should find the burst kill. And then we leave, we reset, we establish, we absorb their counter pressure, and we recycle it, right? So by doing this forward play here, we're getting a good cooldown exchange. We're baiting the enemy team in because we're going to kite. They're going to think, ooh, we get to take space. They're going to rush forward unless they've spent mega serious resources, in which case we're just buying time. But they're going to rush forward. They're going to try and follow up on that pressure. And that's when we turn, because we still have all our cooldowns, and we re-engage onto this position here, right? And that is the essence of what it means to play a kill box. We go forward, we poke, we bait, we kite, we repunch before the enemy team gets a chance to do anything. If we spend too much time in this blue positioning here, kiting out everything, then the enemy team is going to get to jump from this position. They're going to get to walk up, and they're going to get to engage onto our vulnerable characters. And again, we'll just be behind. So we have to constantly apply that pressure. Now, one thing that can happen here is that the enemy team looks at this, they poke us back, and then they go this way, right? Because we're getting this scouting information, we can rotate. And in that instance, what we do is we take a totally different poke exchange. So we come forward, we take a poke exchange here, we kite back around the corner, and then the moment the enemy team's vulnerable characters enter kill box number 2, our hit scan, we'll get this angle here, calls, hey, they're in position. And then we go, right? And the key to this is that there's a lot of blind jumping from this crew, this frontline core. They need to do a lot of blind engagements. They need to trust the call-outs of their teammates to say, hey, there's a character in our kill box, go kill him, right? Bap, Freya, Emery, Lucio even. Like, there's so many different characters that if you apply a full team's worth of cooldowns to get the pressure onto, then we will collect that kill. And it just requires a little bit of trust and a little bit of team coordination. Now, this is all well and good for like a single objective where, okay, we're playing around the point here. We're understanding that we are controlling this space and all the ways into this space, right? But what happens when we go to streets phase? Well, good question. And we have an answer for that, right? So this is one of my favorite streets phases for this. It actually has a really nice kill box. Let me go a little closer here so that we can see it better. And our kill box here happens at about the midpoint of the flower bed, and it goes out like this, right? So this is our kill box. Now what will happen here is our Winston will play forward, our Genji might play forward, and they might kite back to those positions because it's easy to sustain them there. We have our Winston, our Genji, and we have our Ana Bap playing over here. They can go into this building, they can go into that building over there, and very importantly, they can swing wide in the street to apply pressure deep on that corner without ever getting close to the enemy team. Their only damage threat is the ranged poke. It's not, ooh, I'm going to get blitzed by the opposing team's Winston Genji, right? So that depth is really important, and it prevents us from getting ulted as well, because the enemy team doesn't want to just come around this corner and ult a Winston solo, because the Winston can still engage with resources and they can counter ult, you know? Like, still got a good spread here on the defense, right? And then we'll just say our Emery's playing in this kind of position here. So our Winston and Genji play forward. They get the poke. They draw the enemy team into the kill box, right? And then the moment that but they draw them in by kiting. They kite out of that position, right? Because then when they play forward, they're going to take damage. They're going to charge support ults. We're going to jump out. And the enemy team is going to walk forward. And this is especially good on linear payload areas. The enemy team is going to walk forward because this is what they do. And our hit scan is going to call this target, and they're going to ping it. And then our Winston and our Genji are going to jump that target. And it shouldn't be that difficult to coordinate that move because we know who we're engaging and where we're engaging them. And the worst case scenario is that we jump this space here. These guys swing wide and get the support into it. And then it doesn't work out, and we reset everything, and we go back to playing our forward positions, kiting out, baiting them in, and re-engaging, right? So what'll happen is we'll jump this position. Let's say we don't get the kill. We walk to this green circle, then we jump out, then we recycle. That baiting and application of backline damage, that understanding of what are we looking for, how are we trying to get on those characters, it's not very complicated, but again, it does require trust and coordination, and it requires playing for the setup of those areas, right? Your Winston player and your Genji player, and you know, all these players need to know, all right? We're gonna take some poke on this corner. We're gonna scout the enemy team. We're gonna bait them in. We're gonna back up to cover, and then we're gonna re-engage the moment that we see a vulnerable character actually in that space where we want to fight the enemy team, right? And the reason that we want to fight the enemy team is because, well, the enemy team's going to have their frontline core here and their backline core here, and we can engage directly onto their backline core, and they can't do anything to ours. They can zone it, but they can't kill them. And in that instance, it just becomes a race. Do we kill theirs before we die? Or we just get out and regroup and we take the fight over here versus their frontline core. That's not a great scenario for the defending team, but hopefully that clears up what kill boxes are, how they're meant to be used, and the steps necessary for a defending team to take those fights and guarantee those kills onto the priority targets around the areas of the map that we know we want to fight in and that we know we want to play for, right? Before we call it a video, right? I hear you. Winston, Genji, easy to initiate, easy to get onto targets, right? They're playing off of a hit scan, getting scouting information. But what if we were playing something like Reinhardt, Reaper, May? Okay, well, Reinhardt, Reaper, May, we can play our support line a little bit closer because they want to be a little bit more involved in this, right? But we'd have like a Lucio, and we'd have a Reinhardt, and we'd have like a May and a Reaper, right? And we're still doing the same thing. The difference is that the bait is here. We play just around the corner. We kite behind the corner, and then we push forward the moment that they come out of that kill box very aggressively. Or somebody who's easy to sustain over here, like the May, right? It depends on how you want to play your Ana. You could play her here as well, right? You'd sustain the May over there against most things for a long period of time. The enemy's going to want to get aggressive the moment that they see ice block, and then we get the we get the May wall, and we counter initiate into the enemy team's backline, and we cleave them and we kill them. That's pretty straightforward, right? So it works regardless of the composition. It's just the distance that you kite in and out changes, and the distance at which you place your supports based on how far you kite changes, right? So like the Reinhardt is never going to back up behind this corner. He can't. He will die trying to make this walk back. So that's where he stands, right? But that's still enough distance that a character like Winston is not going to just come here and blind jump this Ana with much success without his whole backline getting initiated on and killed. He could do it, but it wouldn't be fun because the Ana can just walk forward and be totally fine. There's a lot of different counterplay to that. Also, this is a map specific-ish nuance, but if a Lucio is playing up here on the corner, like up on the near corner, then he will boop the Winston, and the Winston won't land on the Ana. The Winston will land like here. And well, that just feels absolutely terrible because, well, that's a go button for the Reinhardt. There's no longer anything to protect the backline core, and so the Reinhardt's able to engage onto it. As always, guys, if you have any questions or if anything wasn't clear, please leave it in the comments. All right. We'll definitely be doing a follow-up to this as far as like how attacking teams can both utilize kill boxes as well as how attacking teams can counterplay kill boxes, because it looks pretty damning if you see the way the defending team is playing around it. But those will be follow-up videos. If you have any questions, go feel free to ask them. I'll include that in the videos, or I'll answer it directly in the comments. Maybe both. We'll see. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a good day, and I hope this is helpful. Peace.